Okay. So, hi, we're coming to you from Sydney, Australia. My name is Eleanor, and this is my friend Shelley.
Hi.
We're very good friends from, well, not way back, but we met in film school. So that's the connection.
Yeah.
And we thought that we would do a little bit of a close reading of Jason Zuzga's intriguing poem Connected. And I'm from ModPo 2013. I've returned to do a little bit of ModPo Plus again this year. And Shelley is not a ModPoer,
No.
other than the fact that almost every time we have coffee,
Yes. Yes.
I end up chatting about ModPo. Oh, and I should correct myself. You were in that amazing video.
Hi.
Yes. We discussed Laureen Niedecker's You Are My Friend, which was superb. So we should make it clear. Shelley only read the poem about 15 minutes ago and is absolutely new to both Jason Zuzga and this poem. I, however, must admit I have read it. I did read it about 3 days ago. I did watch the video. So that's the difference. But I think we can both definitely agree that we are at sea with this poem.
Yeah.
It's a very new world we're entering, and we thought we'd keep it like that. We haven't discussed this prior to putting on pushing the record button.
Very disciplined.
It's very hard. You want to start off? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd love for you to start off.
Yeah. I guess I don't have. It's not a poem that makes me immediately go this, even though I'm using that word. I focus more on the words and the language used, and certain images, I guess, that jumped out. Translucence and transparency, such kind of. I always loved the word. One of the archaeological dating methods, thermoluminescence, just because it's that kind of the way it rolls off your tongue, and translucence is that kind of word, I think.
Thermoluminescence.
Thermoluminescence is a great word, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Translucence and transparency.
Well, it's funny. It's so interesting that you bring up an archaeological term, because I think there is sort of a feeling that we're going back in history and forward in history, that this space and time is jumping, and I do also love those two words. To start with, those sounds is fantastic, and then I admit I had to look it up, the difference between translucence and transparency.
Yes.
And
one you can see right through, and one is just sort of not a you can see through a little.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's really interesting to me, as in the context of thinking about language and connection. I mean, we're never completely transparent to each other, and language is never absolutely transparent. When you're talking about the emotion or the thought, and then the language you use.
Yeah.
There's always something in between. Then there's the sugar stick 12 molecular ribbon.
Which makes me think DNA.
Me too. I thought it was just because of Yana.
Yeah.
I should point out, I have a daughter who's studying to be a genetic counselor. So we talk a lot about
DNA.
12 molecular ribbons. But I think it is very much like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That there's something about the start of life. But it's also, a sugar stick that someone has in their mouth. Should we go on to the second stanza?
And I guess that also makes me think of how most of the time we don't think of everything in its molecular form. And that's kind of pointing out a sugar stick, both its whole form and then what it's made up of as well. Yeah, the sort of the big view, the broader view, and then the close viewing.
So the sugar DNA, because it's sugars that make up the DNA, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So
and
a long
it's
sugar
also,
stick, absolutely.
and it's also
DNA.
the sugar that you enjoy, viscerally, I guess. Yeah. I like against this tongue.
Yeah.
Well, it's sexy.
It is.
It's very sexy.
It is. Suddenly the whole poem is really sexual. Long sugar stick, yeah.
So then, now, do you want to choose the next word or phrase to talk about?
Scissor this word from printed fibre. It sounds just to me like editing, but I guess it makes me also think about like gene splicing and things as well.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I love that.
But I keep going back and forth because there's a couple of points in this poem where it feels like, and I've done this, you're half writing the content of the poem and half, because your brain is jumping from the content to how the words. I've written in poems my thoughts on the writing of the poem as well. So the this and later saying delete this, scissor this word. It could also be his editing. He's thinking about the editing of the poem as he's writing it, and letting that fall upon the page as well as the actual content. I don't know.
Oh yes, I really like that. It's almost as if he's. Oh, I didn't see that, but now it's so obvious. It's almost as if he's recording his thoughts as he's writing. So he's writing and recording his thoughts about the writing.
Yeah,
if I understand correctly, and
allowing some of that to come through in the poem.
Yes. Yeah, that's
or subconsciously it's coming out. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. A persuasive stain. And then we have the tongue again.
Yeah.
Well, I guess tongue because you're talking and you're tasting.
Maybe he speaks some of the words as he writes, or maybe just thinks about the sound of the words. But persuasive stain, it's a very potent phrase. Let his persuasive stain dissolve under tongue like a pink snowball, and then held by mammal hand inside, and now I don't know whether to use the American pronunciation or as aluminium or aluminum.
I think we can safely say that it's aluminium. It's our video, Shelley.
Yes. Own it. We say herb with an H. Aluminium house, or standing in this sunlit creek. Aluminium house, when I thought of sugar in an aluminium house, it made me think of a can of Coke or something.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Talking about sugar and later there's something about a straw, I think, or spat through tube.
Oh, yes,
spat through tube. And
yes.
So I don't know, maybe it could be as simple as he's writing, if he is letting some of the thoughts about editing fall onto the page, it might also be letting the fact that what he's drinking is coming out in the page, or maybe he's thinking about a moment in time or a memory or something else that involved like a summer in a creek and a drink in hand.
See, the mammal hand, I immediately think of it as a human hand, but I mean, pointing to a human as part of the animal world.
Yeah.
But then it's a mystery to me why it's inside an aluminium house, and then suddenly you're given the option, or you can stand, or it's standing
in this sunlit creek.
So is the mammal hand held by mammal hand? See, it's not a mammal hand; it's mammal hand inside an aluminium house or standing in the sunlit creek. is the hand is the hand being transported into different imaginary locations? Um, eh, I really love the fact. This is an example of something I don't understand that I love. I don't understand why. First of all, I've never seen a house made of aluminium, like an actual house. So that's already intriguing. Then we're given the option. Well, you can choose the aluminium house, or you can choose to stand in a sunlit creek. I have stood in a sunlit creek, but I've never thought about it in the context of an aluminium house. And so it seems that there's something going on that's taking us from one type of imagination to the next. That's the most I can really say about it.
Yeah, because it's sort of layers of prepositions. It's firstly, scissor this word from printed fibre. Let this persuasive stain dissolve under tongue. So you're not quite in the micro, like the last stanza, but you're right there. And then held by mammal hand, you're sort of taken out a bit more. Inside, and if it was a can, then you're sort of going small again, I guess. And then it's the big again, standing in sunlit creek. So you're sort of brought in and out. It's almost like a director zooming in and out.
Yes.
In this poem.
And I guess aluminium, I mean, it's an element, but then again, I always think of it as man-made. I mean, a house is man-made, a creek is not, it's natural. Okay, the third stanza, I'll admit here.
Yeah.
It is the most intriguing to me. I mean, I even had to look up macaques. I thought it was a type of monkey. Would you say monkey or ape? Monkey?
Macaques. They're monkeys.
It's a monkey.
Yeah.
See, I knew you'd be better
at
that than me.
Now I'm sure,
yeah. No.
Sure.
It is. I just didn't know if the proper term. I don't know. I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah.
No,
they're not.
And I thought, I just would love to. What you say. Burn this. Okay, we have this again. It's being burnt. So maybe it was cut. It was edited. It was on paper, perhaps. It stains, and now it's being burnt.
Yeah.
On a pyre of scrapped macaques. Scrapped. So, like a scrap of paper, but like scrapped as in annihilated.
Yeah, I mean, I get an image that's a bit apocalypse now, but it sort of brings me back a bit to mammal hand and also, I guess, those things when we think of something that we're holding on to or doing in our life, when you have a moment of thinking of how it impacts on the world, like buying a new phone and the contents in that battery has made gorillas in the Congo, where they mine that, what is it, Coltrane for the phone?
Yes.
Impacts on people in the Congo and gorillas living in the Congo. And so every time you buy a new phone, there's kind of blood on your hands in a sense. That, you don't rush in to buy a new one if you can.
Yes.
Because of this impact. I don't know, but it feels a little bit to me like maybe he's reflecting on some sort of impact of what he's doing.
Okay, you just opened this poem for me.
Okay.
You've just given me a key to the poem. Absolutely. That's because connected.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about how, we're talking about a lot of things, but one of the things we're talking about is how we connect to each other, and the fact that you're talking about the technology and how it affects nature and how it affects the natural world, and the phone itself.
But then he says research jangled and car blown. So I think then it's not so much impacting the natural world if they are macaques from a lab.
Yes.
And then I guess I go back again and I feel like this in and out, I suddenly get images of microscopes and, looking at sugar or blood or anything through a microscope, looking at DNA, scissoring, gene splicing, dissolving.
Okay, hold that thought.
Yeah.
That was my doorbell.
Okay.
Keeping it real. Okay, we'll be back.